Welcome back, everybody, to the Voices for Blogging podcast, where we have faces for radio and voices for blogging. You can find us on the Podbean app, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you find your favorite podcasts. As always, in LA, Royce Hamano's here, and in Honolulu, Steve Lee is here. Welcome to our 2022 edition of the podcast, Royce. Our first episode. We promise to do bigger and better things this year, we think.
And more consistent.
And we have plans. We plan to be more consistent and kind of be a little bit more of what the podcast kind of became towards the end of 2021. Not that we want to just solely focus on the crypto market, but I mean, Royce, man, when you think about all of 2021, like the transformation of the market to where it is now. And, you know, we joke around about listening to our old episodes and just to see what we were talking about, how it would pan out and how things pan out. I mean, we're fairly accurate about how things would go. And we weren't dodging our predictions at all towards the end of 2021 where we didn't record. You know, we just, life took over. We just got busy. But you know, there's a lot of tumult in the market since.
Busy going to football games and hockey games and.
Well, I mean, living life again, right? I mean, starting the reopening life. You and I talked in our pre-production meeting here that you look at things that you're going to do different now. I mean, you went to the Super Bowl, and we're going to talk about that later. And you're going to have to share with everyone your experience at the Super Bowl and at your bougie little pregame tailgate at SoFi. For an undisclosed amount that will not mention how much.
Long day. We don't talk about that.
But you know, I mean, I alluded to this, but we do have plans to kind of do a little bit more of the podcast this year, and hopefully you guys will stick with us, keep listening, and remember that we're not giving investment advice, but we are giving some information at times. But really, it's just our opinions. You know, everyone's got to do their homework. We're really in some trying times in the financial markets, so we understand when we talk about these things, it might be sensitive for some people, but try to please remember it's just our opinion. We're not telling you what to do at all.
Oh, hell no. It's like my basketball coach used to say, man. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one.
Everybody's got one, baby. Everyone's got one. I mean, that being said, Royce, I think one of the things in my own personal experience is from where we grew this and back in, God, when we're talking about this in 2020, when we did the episode where I started my crypto account, to kind of the last 6 months for me in crypto, looking beyond ETH and Bitcoin and really starting to dive into the future with the metaverse as we start to see a little bit more of how things are starting to play out a little bit. We're really in like the first or second inning of the metaverse. But it's interesting to see some of the things that you turn me on to, like NFT worlds as a coin and land. It's fascinating to watch the evolution and how fast it's actually happening.
Yeah, well, what's really been interesting is that even during this, downturn where, crypto like Bitcoin, I think is down like 40% from its high. I think ETH is probably the same. And a lot of the altcoins have, crashed or been down, quite a bit in this little bear market. The one thing that has actually stayed pretty steady, or at least held its value in crypto, has been NFTs, which is crazy. It seems like that some of the money that was in like DeFi and all these other things have rotated into NFTs. And that's something that's pretty interesting. And it kind of speaks to the whole, premise of NFTs really being the thing that and gaming NFTs, bridging the gap, between a larger market and the early adopters that are, in crypto today.
Yeah, I think you're correct. I mean, it's fascinating to watch what's happening with, like you said, the NFT value staying up. And, you get this participation by people buying these things literally like they are pieces of art. or valuable trading cards like the most valuable baseball cards and collectibles. Uh, and that market is fascinating because just as you see the NFT market holding strong, and you see all these new players, people starting to mint. You start to see these galleries popping up all over the place where people are minting NFTs all over the place now. Um, it, and at the same time, the collectibles market is actually starting to see a decline. But for whatever reason, in the crypto world, these NFTs they're still going pretty strong. I've been
Yeah. Hey, you know
following
what? I still got my megalodon tooth.
our jaw,
So
a megalodon jaw through Rally Road. Yeah,
yeah,
they still need 40% more investors, so I'm pretty sure it's going to get our money back on our dinosaur
hey,
fossil jaw.
at least I got a tooth in a big resin case that I
From
have no place to put. It's just sitting on my desk. You can talk about a regretful purchase. That is one.
the resin tooth.
Yeah, like what the hell am I gonna do with that?
Yeah, but what's doing what we're looking at Rally Road, the app Rally Road. We're looking at what are the most successful things that you could have put your money in from the IPOs. Were the NFTs. I look at
Yeah, I noticed that they're doing a lot of NFTs now.
right
Like it
because
seems
that's what
like
the
every
demand
other
is.
thing is, yeah, which is kind of interesting, which is kind of crazy.
A lot of the ape series is on there, and the CryptoPunk.
Yeah.
That stuff that's in there.
I mean, it does make it accessible because there's not many people in this world that want to spend 100 ETH on a bored ape, or like 80 to 90 ETH on a CryptoPunk.
Right.
That's making it accessible. I think is really interesting.
And the way they do it after the IPO, where everybody can buy as many shares as they want. Now, if you really want to be a bigger player but not have to buy the whole thing, you still get the percentage gain. So it's an interesting way for again to keep people within that market. F is behind most of that stuff, right? As far as like how the thing is transferred and how you pay for it. So this is what Mark Cuban was, talking about. I think just the other day I saw an article about him talking about crypto, and he's been pumping ETH over Bitcoin for a while now because he's been arguing because of the utility. It has so much use
Right.
on the blockchain, and so much is done on the Ethereum blockchain. And going back to your point about the DeFi thing, don't you think at some point in time there's just too many players doing the same thing?
I mean, there's definitely too many players. There's a lot of projects that are doing innovative things. And whether those innovative things are things that are going to win out in the long run or get adoption in the long run, that's the biggest question to me. I mean, there's a lot of projects that are doing different things. There's some similar ones, but there's a lot that aren't.
Hmm.
To me, they're all little experiments, and who knows which one is gonna be the one that wins out. But I mean, there's new things popping up every day.
Right. I mean, when you
Yeah,
think about it's like the death of the dot coms, right? Some certain dot coms just never made it.
yeah. Look, like pets.com or whatever, right? Like
Right.
now you can go online and buy pet stuff or whatever, and
Yeah.
maybe it's part of a bigger site like Amazon, or maybe it is like Petco and things like that. But at the time, the timing wasn't there.
Well, the timing wasn't there, but it set the stage for who is successful in that space right now, which is Chewy, right? Chewy.com has benefited from, from the failures of the past. And I look at these, when I watch the pricing for all these DeFi coins, like we talked a lot about Aave and Compound and those type of things in early 2020. Um, those prices have never recovered from that crash in May. And
No,
I don't
yeah,
feel like they're going to. It just seems like it feels like even though there's utility, it just feels like it's kind of dead money,
yeah.
or you play these short pops and you got to sell the rips.
I think right now everyone is playing in a lot of the hype around the metaverse, around NFTs. It's more chasing the next,
The next thing,
shiny thing. Yeah.
right?
Whereas, a lot of these DeFi protocols, even though they're not sexy right now, there is real revenue behind it. And eventually it's going to go back to that, right? Like eventually you're going to have something that's actually generating revenue as opposed to the new shiny object.
Correct.
That's not where we are right now.
No, we're
Seems like.
still very much in the spec stage, and in some ways they just lost their sex appeal. Those
Yeah.
DeFi's, they just did. Um, but in the end, they're still the life's blood of a lot of things that's happening in crypto because of the staking and because of the loans, and because of people using that leverage to buy more ETH or buy more BTC or whatever it is they're interested in. Um, it's fascinating though to watch all that, because I feel like some of those DeFi's will probably have their day again once ETH and Bitcoin start running, because people will just play the trade. I don't think they're just going to be kind of dead money here. At ETH at about 3,000 right now as we start the recording, a little bit under, and Bitcoin around 40.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the biggest overhang for everything, not only crypto but equities as well, is just the macro environment, right? You have the Fed raising rates this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like the market's predicting, I think like 6, 7, 8 times this year. Really crazy.
Potentially 2 solid points is what they're talking about when it's
Yeah,
all said and done.
but
But
the market is saying the market is panicking, right? It's 6, 7, 8. Then you have the threat of this war with Russia and Ukraine, and it's just overall, it's just an overhang over the market right now, and it affects crypto too.
yeah, we were talking a little bit earlier before we started the show here about that, about Russia and
Yeah.
what's happening with inflation and what's happening with rate hikes. And you have the investment banks like Bank of America coming out and talking about how you know beware. They're wary about the economy because they don't trust the Fed. They don't trust that the Fed can steer us and navigate us through this inflation spike well, and they might
Wait,
damage the
the,
economy. But
the bank said that?
yeah,
Who
Bank
said
of
that?
America, yeah, Bank of America came out and kind of said they're a little cautious right now because of that. They're not really sure that the Fed will do what they need to do properly
Wow.
with the right expedients. And so you hear these kind of things come out, but I feel like these are the signs of the bottom of the dip, because at some point in time it's kind of like, yes, we're a little behind on inflation, but guess what? No matter what interest rates are, we would have some of these inflated prices already, because there still is major supply chain
There's a
issues
supply chain issue. Yeah.
going around the world. And we just waited 6 months for a car that we just picked up this afternoon. And
Yeah.
I talked to the car salesman, and I asked him a pretty frank question, because I have this thing personality wise where I don't care. I'm just gonna ask people questions, and they don't have to answer.
Yeah, we noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
No.
I'm curious. So like, fuck, if you don't want to answer, it's cool. We don't need to engage in conversation. But I'm just curious. So I asked him. I said, man, like, how do you survive? Because you don't get your commission until the car is delivered, because they don't take the full sum of money until the car's on the lot. So
Right.
we put a few thousand deposit to order the car. That's it.
Right.
So they don't get paid out of that. So these guys, they're not getting their commissions until these cars show up. And like I said, I waited almost 6 months for the car. We were not in a
Yeah.
huge rush for the car, so it didn't matter. But there are people that they get totaled, in a car accident. They need a new car and they can't buy one.
Yeah. Yeah. Or there at least ends.
The release ends, or those kind of things, and then you're forced to buy a used car at new car prices, or pay a lot of money for a car you really don't want, but you're going to buy because it's the only thing available.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think that has a whole ton to do with interest rates. That has a lot to do with the pandemic and working through the pandemic still, how the pandemic affected supply chains, and where semiconductors went. Manufacturing went to the hardware for other tech things like servers and laptops and smartphones and everything else. They skip the cars and appliances in the cycle.
Yeah. Now it's almost tax time.
It's almost tax time.
Ugh. I don't
Yeah,
know.
we'll see, right? And that's one more stress on the market, right? Because it was a good market in 2021, both in crypto and the stock market. And when you couple that with the market coming down, some people might have to pull some money out of their equities to pay their tax bill, or out of crypto to pay their tax bill. And it's not elevated. It might have kept the money invested, and it might make them have to dump some things just to get the money to pay their bill.
Yeah, no, I think that there'll definitely be some of that. I was just thinking about how the hell we're gonna do the calculations for like all of this DeFi stuff.
Well, I guess the only thing about that is, if we if there were ever a time to prove the worthiness and the reliability of blockchain, this is the time, right? Because if you prove you can track every transaction through the blockchain, shouldn't there be some tax software or some tax app that someone puts
Oh
together
yeah,
that
but
can
see
read it
the
for you and just decipher it all out?
there are, and that's how a lot of these solutions work. The challenge is when you have a lot of things that you're like staking, you're providing liquidity, like whether it's V2 Uniswap or Sushi Swap or whatever, and V3 where you're getting NFTs back. Like, how do you calculate the gains on those things? Because there's impermanent loss, right? Where the value of what you deposited can go up and down,
Mm-hmm.
and the number of cryptos that you have can go up and down. You move things across chain over bridges. You have to go to other chains to get the information. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you put them into different apps where you take out loans. So it's this whole mess that I've created for myself.
I was gonna say,
And the problem with blockchain too is that to really report accurately, you have to go back to every transaction from the beginning of time that you did, or else it's not going to be accurate. And that's what these apps do.
yep.
But it's very confusing, very tedious, and there's almost no way. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
if
for
I
what
if
it,
I if I had problems before when I was just using exchanges, I'm definitely gonna have problems now, and so is everybody else. That's why, like, I'm in a chat group with a bunch of people that are, in the space, and a lot of times we're just kind of laughing because it's almost like you got to do it the best that you can, and I mean that's all you can do.
it's true. It's
Yeah,
true.
that's the price you pay for being on the bleeding edge, man.
I mean, it is. I mean, I remember when trading on the internet, with E Trade and Daytech back then, which is now TD Ameritrade. Um, I remember them. Their 1099s were terrible for like the
Yeah,
first 5 or 6 years. That because the thing that's really challenging about the tax work and the tax records is that if there's one number that's wrong when the IRS scans a spreadsheet you produce versus what you record into your taxes as your backup data, if there's one number that's wrong, that's going to put a red flag on your return.
yeah,
Like one number, like it doesn't matter which decimal point it is, doesn't matter which place it is. If there's one number, because they use computers to scan these things, like it'll trigger a card.
yeah. Yep. Oh, not looking forward to that.
Be interesting to see where we go from here, right?
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. Have you been following the NFT space at all?
A little bit, because what I have invested in WorldCoin, WRLD,
Yeah. By the
because
way, it's 40 cents right now.
it is.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a divergence, though, right? That's at 40 cents, while everything else is kind of meandering,
Flat or down. Yeah. Yep.
right? So, so I'm talking about this coin that Royce turned me on to, and he turned it on to me at 20 cents, and I kind of him and hawed, and then the market crashed and went down to 9 cents. So I said, let's take
Yeah.
a shot. Let's take a shot now. But it's fascinating. I feel like, so because we've done well on that, I've done well on that trade. I've been thinking, okay, how do I spin out of this trade? Do I sell NFT World and then maybe get into an actual NFT, or do I use the proceeds to buy land? Like, it's appealing to
Buy the
try.
land.
Is it appealing to try one of the two?
Buy the land.
Yeah, but so
And
you were saying the floor
you-
in NFT worlds is what, about 2 ETH right now?
no, dude,
Seven
it's up
ETH?
to 10F. It's like 10F now.
Gee, and that's the floor. I
It
mean,
might be, yeah,
that's
it
right.
might
That's
actually be
right.
more than that.
You were telling me 7 ETH, and that was last week when you told me it was 7 ETH. Last week.
Probably, yeah. It's been moving on up.
And then this world coin, you're saying that these world coins in NFT worlds are the
Oh,
currency you would use, right?
the floor is 12.93 ETH right
Jeez
now.
Louise. Yeah, so I'm priced out of that market. So I might have you help me go searching, and I might start looking for other places where I can buy a piece of land somewhere. But it's hard, right? Because just like the DeFi things we were talking about, who's to say every single metaverse is going to do well?
No, yeah, I mean that's probably not going to be the case, right? You might have one NFT project that does really well, and the others have much smaller market share because at the end of the day, the way that I view it is that it's a community play, right?
Hmm.
It's like it's like you play for the social aspect,
Right.
and if a bunch of your friends are on one of these things, you're going to go where a bunch of your friends are. It's a network effect. It's like Facebook. You're on
Sure.
Facebook because a bunch of your friends are there. You know,
Yeah, I mean, to your point
but
about that, though, this is why, even though Meta, or AKA Facebook, is taking their lumps, as long as they develop their land well and their system ecosystem well, how does Meta just not kill it in this space because they have all these users?
oh, it's going to be interesting, dude. So I recently actually just picked up an Oculus,
Oh, nice.
the
For those
Quest
of you,
2.
for those of you that can't see it, you should see the smile on Royce's face.
It's the Quest 2 from Oculus, right? It's one of those virtual reality headsets, and I've actually had one of these before. It's a lot more powerful now,
Hmm.
and the graphics are a lot better.
Right.
But the biggest difference between then and this was I'm talking about like 4 or 5 years ago and now are the apps that they have and the
Yes.
social aspect. So like we
Yes.
were playing the other day poker. I mean
Right.
poker and blackjack in like this virtual world. I think it was supposed to be like Macau or something.
Right.
And it was me, it was Ken, it was there were other random people from all over the world in there,
Yep.
and you're sitting next to them like on a table, like
Right.
you have your hands like whatever you can talk, you
Right.
can like pick up like a bottle of a drink and
Like you're
drink
playing.
it. Yeah, you can pick up a cigarette, you can light it, smoke it, and you're talking with all these people that are from all over the world, and it's just like being in Vegas,
But you're not
except
pl-
you're in there in virtual.
and you're not playing
It
with real money, right?
You're not playing with real money, but you get a bunch
Yeah.
of chips that they give you at the beginning. But it's the social aspect
Yep.
is dude, you gotta get one, man. You gotta try it out.
I mean
It's super cool.
that sounds so cool, right? I mean, so
Yeah,
everyone sitting around you, they just look like avatars of themselves, or those kind of things. Do they choose a persona? When you're sitting at
yeah.
the table, you're looking at what? You're looking at.
It's almost like a remember the Nintendo Wii
Right.
when you had your little me guy,
Yeah.
except it's much more human like than
Mm,
cartoonish.
interesting.
Um, but yeah, you can give yourself hats, you can give yourself like a T-shirt or whatever you want. You can
Right.
dress yourself up however you want to.
And that's where the
Um,
shopping malls come in, right? Those fashion centers. Remember when we were talking about tokens.com and the lands that they're developing in Decentraland, right? They want to create a fashion mall. So I guess that's where you
yeah.
want to take your character to go buy clothes. So you look
Oh
a
yeah.
certain way, right?
Yeah,
That's
and I'm pretty sure
wild.
you could do that. I'm pretty sure you can do that through there now.
Yeah.
But it's really cool. Actually, did you ever see the PS3 PlayStation Home app
Mm-mm.
back in the
No.
day? So
No.
the PlayStation Home app was supposed to be like this metaverse where like you went in there and you could interact with other people. The idea was that from there you were going to be able to go and launch other games and stuff, right? It never really got to that, but it was like this whole nother world, like Second Life or any one of the other like Sims. You could talk to other people and interact with them, and the people looked realistic, and that's kind of what this app was. But you know what? The most interesting thing I think about what's happening with this whole virtual reality and metaverse stuff is that if you go into these games and into like these virtual reality chat rooms, it's all kids.
Yeah.
Like 90% of it is kids.
Right.
But what Facebook is doing, what Meta is doing right now is they're creating the social world that these kids growing up now are going to hang out in. To me, that's what their
Uh,
play
uh,
is.
how's that any different than Facebook or Instagram and everything what it was? Now
Well,
we're not just gonna hang out on a page together. We're literally gonna like hang out. Remember the evolution of this is like five teenagers sitting in a room texting each other, like they're texting each other, sitting in
yeah.
the same room. So at some point in time, this all grows into what it's become now, or potentially what it might be, which is exactly like you said, a place to hang out. Like what's stopping at some point in time the potential ability to watch full length feature films through the
So you can do
metaverse?
that. You can do that already.
Right.
You can do that already
Watch with
in
your friend. I could watch a movie
Oculus.
with
Yeah.
you. I could
Yeah.
I could be in the metaverse watching a movie with you.
Yep. And it'd be like you're right there. Like it
Right.
tricks your mind. You gotta try it out, dude. But your mind gets tricked into this alternate reality, and you have those sensations, and
That's weird.
you have those conversations. Like it's like you're there, but you're not, obviously. But
Like, do you
it's
have to
very, it's
like?
very,
But
very
in order
weird.
to get that sensation, do you have to like buy in? Like, do you have to like convince yourself to
No,
start, or do you just get pulled
no.
in?
You get, because everything that you sense is like through your eyes, and
So crazy.
through what you're you know what you're doing with your hands. Like your brain just gets like used to, or like assimilated into this world.
Okay, I hear you.
It's hard to explain unless you
No, I hear you.
experience it yourself. Yeah.
So I think the challenge we're gonna have with this stuff, same way where we had the challenges with social media, is gonna be mental health.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's already I forget where I was reading about this, but in one of the chat rooms there was this basically some kid that was like dancing provocatively, and this other guy that had like a more like kitty avatar
Right.
was sitting there, and like this that stuff that they're gonna need to figure out
Oh yeah. I mean,
how to, how, how to stop and prevent, right?
predators. Like you're looking at sexual predators and all these other things that when you said everyone in there is kids, my alarm bells goes off. Like oh my god. Like what
Yeah.
stops a pedophile from going in there just to hang out with the kids and you know who knows what, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
who knows what? I mean,
who knows
I
what?
think I think like any technology though, like if you like, I don't know if you remember like the early internet, but back when we were on there, with like Prodigy and CompuServe and all those
Right,
old
right,
things, right? It was really cool because for those early adopters, you could talk to people all over the world that you never could before, and it was, I think with early adopters, there's a certain mindset, and once you start getting more into the mainstream, that's when you start, things start changing, and you start getting, the the rest of society, which ends up being like the 1% that are a little bit, crazy.
right.
And I think that virtual reality might be okay, or the metaverse might be okay right now, but once it gets to the mainstream, you're gonna have that 1% that come in that are gonna be.
Right. I mean, and
Uh,
look, you get the trouble. You get the trouble all over the internet with those things, and that's why you need things like parental controls. And you're gonna have to figure that. They're gonna have to figure all that stuff out.
yeah, they're gonna have to figure it out.
Um,
But it's still way way early. None
it's
of that
way
experience.
early, and for everyone that thinks back in the day, like, man, if I only invested in the internet, and if I only knew what was gonna happen, I would have bought so much more. But I think the caution I would throw at that person that thinks that way is remember that so many of these companies failed. Uh, and Amazon was on the brink on as far as stock prices go at some point in time. Amazon had massive sell-offs within between 2000 and 2010 where you had a chance to get into Amazon at under $20. So you had so many chances to jump in if you really believed, these things were going to happen. But that perspective is important. I mean, look at crypto. Look at when I got in. I got in 3 years after you and I talked about it at almost the same price that it was that we talked about it. We
Yeah,
started talking about it when it was creeping around 400 something at Ethereum, and 3 years later, here we were. Oh, for something. I guess I'll jump in. Let's see what this
yeah.
is like. So you get your
I,
chances.
I forgot it was for something.
You're crazy, right?
Yep.
I
When was
mean,
that? 20.
when we were talking at Dave and Buster's, it was peaking in that 400-500 range. way back.
Yeah.
This is before the crash, right? Before the crash in
Right. Yeah.
18.
Yeah.
Yeah, before the crash in 18. So, I mean, my concept of years right now is so screwed up because of COVID. It's so weird. What I think was 3 years ago is 5 years ago.
Yeah. And it's been 2 years with COVID.
It
So
is. But I think we see the light. I think things are getting better. I think things are happening in Omicron and fading away. And, it's starting to look more and more like it's heading towards it being endemic. And we talked about this a while back that when we get to this point sometime around this time of year, so it's promising to see that it's heading that way. And people are out doing things. And you were out doing things last weekend. Let's talk about you at the Super Bowl, man. I was trying to live vicariously through you, dude.
yeah, it was a fun experience. I've never been to a Super Bowl before, so just the tailgating that was there, the people. It was just an event. It was hot. it was hot for February in LA. But it was a great game. I mean, it was Rams right at home. First Super Bowl in LA since what, '93, I think.
Hmm.
First Super Bowl in SoFi. You got Dr. Dre, Snoop, the halftime show, Mary J. Blige. It was just the perfect confluence of things that just had to go.
I mean, it was down the street from your house, like literally.
It's
I
down,
mean,
it's down the street from my
Inglewood
house.
is down the street from where you live, and I remember you telling me this like back in November. Like you're like, dude, the Super Bowl is literally down the street. How could I not go?
Yeah.
And then so you went the route of paying for a pretty decent seat, but also this pregame tailgate party. Try to paint the picture for us. What was happening at this tailgate party? Like, what were people doing? How are they dressed? What were you guys drinking, eating, and all that stuff?
Gosh, I mean, everyone was either in their Rams gear or their Bengals gear. They tried to separate them, like both of the groups, but when you're trying to find a seat indoors, I mean, under the tent at least, where you can't get too hot, everyone was mixed up. So it was, a bunch of people just, when they go walk up to the bar, they'd be like chanting, like if you're from Cincinnati or you're a Bengals fan, you're like, who they, right?
Yeah,
People would be yelling. And then if you're a Rams fan, people would be yelling like, whose house? Rams house.
yeah. The
Everybody
Rams
be
house thing, I can't get on board with it,
yelling.
man. The Rams. What do you think about the Rams house thing?
How many what do I think about it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, it is what it is, man.
It is, but it's just kind of one of those things that when Kroenke went up and
Hey,
accepted
if you saw the like 1980s video that they put together, that Ram It thing, I don't know if you've ever seen that. Trust me, Ram's house is way
it's
better.
better.
It's totally cool. Yeah, you gotta watch it. I'll show it to you, man. The first time
So
I saw
so wait,
that,
so that was their
on
come
this
there was
game,
that was their kind of pushback against the Bears Super Bowl shuffle because there were about 5 teams that
you
did
know,
videos after the Super Bowl shuffle thing happened.
I don't remember when that video came out, but it was probably around that time.
I think I may have seen part of it. Like Dickerson was in it,
Oh,
right?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I think I remember seeing
The
it.
thing is so hilarious, and the song is you got to see it. Just Google it on YouTube.
Will
If
do.
anyone wants to see it, and you guys are listening, Google it on YouTube.
Well,
Los Angeles Rams and a Ram It.
ram it.
It's just
Yeah,
just be prepared.
do not just search ram it. You're gonna get
Yeah, do
different
not.
things.
That's a whole nother ball game right there. But on YouTube, it might be okay because they don't have that stuff, right?
Yeah.
I think.
I mean,
Yeah. But yeah, I was talking to this one guy that he brought his entire family from Cincinnati to the game, and they're a little sad at the end, I think, but hopefully it was a good experience.
was there a
I'm
post
sure it's
game party? Was there a post game party?
no, but there were post game like I'm not gonna say riots, but definitely celebrations that got rowdy.
Sure.
Stuff for how LA does it.
Yeah. I
Which,
mean,
which,
in the end, though, food was good.
oh, the food was good. It was catered by Wolfgang Puck. Yeah, you had your usual burgers, dogs. They had chili, wings. What else did they have? They had like some LA stuff too, from like the the market. So they
Mm.
had like some vegetable stuff and things like that. Pork sliders that was actually not a slider. When I hear pork slider, I thought it was something small. It was
Yeah,
basically just
yeah. You think
entire
you,
burger bun with like the
yeah, yeah.
with
You think
pulled
like
pork on it.
you think something as small as a King's Hawaiian sweetbread roll, something
Yeah,
small like that, right? Yeah,
but it was not. It, it was a burger bun with pulled
nice
pork in it.
slider,
It
pulled
was
pork
huge.
burger. I won't just call it a pulled
It
pork
was, yeah,
burger.
that's basically what they called it, the slider.
Anything
And
stand out though? I mean, it's Wolfgang Puck. Did any kind of food he make? Did they get? I mean, he didn't make it himself, but did they bring anything that was really that good? I mean, I know how much you paid for this thing, so I'm like, dude, they better have some good stuff in there.
oh, they had tacos too as well. Like I mean, it was like better bar food, I guess, is maybe the best way to explain it.
Eh,
Like next level bar food, I guess.
I guess.
But they had open bar. They had place where you could throw the football. They had this huge area for music, and there was a dance floor or like a dance field, I should say.
Oh,
And yeah, I mean, that was just the pregame, and then you go in and you got that crazy halftime show. Unfortunately, I couldn't see it from where we were sitting because we were seeing like basically the back of the stage,
uh-huh.
and it's so far that it's hard to tell who's what. But
Right.
the music was great. Everyone was hyped about the music, and
Yeah.
it was good. I mean, it's L.A. That was L.A. Dr. Dre, Snoop, all those guys, like hip hop. That's L.A. There's nothing more L.A. than that in terms of music.
The only thing that could have made that show possibly better was if they found some way to have Ice Cube kind of pop up in there, man. Too bad
That
they
would have
didn't,
been yeah.
right?
That would have
Like,
been yeah.
think like if Cube showed up, like,
That would have been a good addition. I was surprised by 50 Cent. I didn't know he
I
was
mean,
going to be
$1. Good lord,
there. He's bulked up a little bit.
he's buff.
Um, but that it's gonna happens to all of us, dude.
Yes, sir. You want to look at it? I found my college ID. I found my UPS ID. I was like, holy crap, that's a lot of LBs ago.
Yeah.
That's
Oh yeah.
that's
I
about
know,
that's about 30 LBs ago.
dude. I had posted a photo, and remember Janine
Last name.
Nicholas? She was like the oh, maybe she left before you got there actually.
Okay.
Or no, she was there maybe for the first year that you were there. I think she
Okay.
was there, and she left after that. But she sent a picture, or she posted a photo of like me, Micah, Lance, and her in our dorm room.
Okay.
And when I saw that, I was like, "Oh my god, we look so young."
What are you
It
talking
just
about?
reinforced.
I look the
Yeah,
same, Royce. It's
I'm
just 30
like,
LBs. I look the
I'm
same.
like, I don't even look the same, man. I'm like, who is that guy? Father Time, man, undefeated,
Un-
undefeated.
Undefeated, except for in the metaverse. You never know.
Yeah,
We're gonna put like old pictures of ourselves as our faces. We'll be like
yeah.
20-year-old selves, man.
I think that's what I'm gonna have to do.
Create your avatar, build your avatar.
Yeah,
$5 to $5 to upload your picture.
yeah.
So many ways to monetize that thing.
Anyway, so the game, right? There were hardly any penalties, right, until the last minute.
Yeah,
I wasn't able to see up close
it's a no
any of
call.
those,
It should be a no call. That
right?
play should have been a no call. Yes, they missed the face mask that happened between Jalen Ramsey and T Higgins.
Yep.
But it's funny, right? I mean, they're hand fighting for that ball, and yes, his face ends up being there. It's a penalty, no doubt. I mean, it's because of the position of the ref that he can't see it. But that play with Logan Wilson with Cooper Kupp, I mean, that was a killer play.
That was a killer. That
That was a great play, and they took it away
that
from him. They
yeah.
they took that, and look, I'm not going to say that the Bengals, just because of that, the Bengals lost. Bengals had plenty of chances to make certain other plays, and but that's such a critical play there, where you're 3rd and 10. You're 3rd and 10 essentially.
Yeah.
Knock the ball down. It's 4th and 10. Do we get
Yep.
a crazy Stafford throw at that point where he throws a pick? Does Hendrickson and Hubbard find a way to get Stafford on a sack? Who knows? We'll never know, right? But
Yep.
I feel like if you've swallowed your whistle the whole game like that, you keep
You
swallowing
gotta
your
let him play.
whistle.
Yeah, you gotta let him play. Yeah.
You gotta let him play.
Yeah, I thought so too. I mean, like the face mask on Ramsey that wasn't called. I mean, like by the letter of the law. Yeah, it was a face mask. Yeah, it was a penalty. By the spirit,
I don't
maybe.
think he was doing it on purpose. I don't think,
To me, it was like incidental.
because they're fighting for position and they're hand fighting so much, and then Ramsey got turned around and his hand just so happened ended up on his face mask, and then he's
Yeah.
running for and he's ripping for the ball, so he's going to pull his head. So yeah, I mean, hey, but the ref should have caught it. There's no doubt. But there's no way to know what would have happened on that drive if that were called. We don't know, right? There's so many unknowns. Like Tyler Boyd doesn't drop that 3rd down catch that probably was going to be the first down.
Yeah.
Before the Niners win, what essentially became their game-winning drive. Tyler Boyd doesn't drop that ball. The Bengals might hold the ball for the whole game, the rest of the game at that point, because the Bengals are actually running the ball pretty decently.
No, they're moving the ball pretty decent.
They
Like,
ran better than the Rams did.
Yeah. No, the Rams running game was awful.
It was terrible.
It was bad. Yeah. I don't know why they I still don't understand why they put Cam Akers back as their number 1 running back after they've been playing basically the entire season with Sony Michel and
Henderson.
Darrell Henderson, yeah.
And Henderson made a couple of really good plays, and he was fresh.
I don't get that, but to me that's like that was just a bad decision, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Sony Michel has the experience in the Super Bowl. Also, he's won a Super Bowl. He played a lot in that Super Bowl with the Patriots.
He was productive too at the end of the season.
Very productive
when he had to be. So yeah, I don't know, but during the game, like when you're not watching on TV, when you're in the stadium, like I didn't know that OBJ was gone till like probably middle of the 3rd quarter.
Yeah,
like just noticing that he wasn't on the field. It's like, what happened to him? Oh, he got hurt.
It was automatic.
And
yeah, I hear people talking about this turf, okay, and I hear that they're using it as an opportunity to blame turf. What I'll say is this: I'll say when you look back at OBJ's injury history, and this is me putting on my athletic trainer hat, his laundry list of injuries over the last few years are really long, and when you look at what he was trying to do, which was turn back to catch a ball, when your hip is turned in that position, even though it doesn't look like his knee is caving in, his hip is internally rotated by virtue of turning his body the way he did. That was putting the force already on that knee, on that surgically repaired knee. So, hey, there's this thing with ACLs because of Jerry Rice, because of Adrian Peterson especially. People think you can just pop back in this short amount of time and it's fine. In pediatrics, right now, the studies are showing that we have to try to keep these kids off the field from playing for a year. Because when you do that, the chances of re-injury go down a high amount. Now, you violate that year, you violate that year 7, 8 months, 9 months, they look good. But the chances of re-injuring are pretty high. And what are those numbers like for adults? But really, we're not talking just an adult here. We're talking about an elite athlete with the amount of speed and force he can put through his body.
No, it's tremendous, right?
It changes it. That I'm not sure, as good as we got with rehab and surgeries at ACLs, that these guys might behoove them to stay out a little bit longer. But it's hard. It's money, it's salaries, it's everything else. All these other things come to play.
That's why I've stayed out 20 years since I tore my
100%. I mean, I think after your ACL surgery, put 20 pounds on, and you know what? You change your game to the point where you're not going to hurt yourself because you're just going to stand still.
Right? No, I just stand outside now.
Yeah, I mean, you stand there, shoot a 3. You're going to hit the softball, but you're going to jog to first, no matter how far the thing goes.
No, not even jog.
You're not even trying for 2. Like, you're not even making the turn to come around first. You're just running straight down the first baseline like it's a ground ball. That's all you're doing.
That's all. That is all.
You know, you always remember you can run pass first. The only base you can do that, you know?
Yep. Poor OBJ, man.
Ah, look, he got his ring. He was a vital part of this Rams team. He was a lot more productive than a lot of people thought he was going to be coming over.
I guess it really was Cleveland, dude.
Well,
But yeah,
but
I mean,
remember,
he would
this
have had a
guy's good when things are good. When things go bad, he's shown to not be maybe the greatest person to have on your team when things go bad.
yeah. But you know what? Surrounded with the right people, he had an opportunity here, and he took advantage of it.
Yeah, he did, and he
It
won,
was
and
great. It was great.
we'll see if they keep him there. I mean, that's gonna. You want to know the real sign, right? Will they keep
Yeah,
him around? Because he's gone for a year.
especially now. Yeah,
Yeah, he's gone for a year.
isn't his contract up this year too?
Yep, yep.
Man,
I
that's
remember he got all paid in Bitcoin. Remember, so he needs that. He needs that thing to go up.
he might have
He
just lost.
he needs to get 100,000. He needs that thing to climb back to 100,000 by the end of this year.
He better put on some laser eyes.
So,
Oh,
but crazy stuff, man. That's so cool that you got to go. We're gonna do that one day where you and I are gonna go. And like, if you and I don't go to Super Bowl, you and I will have to go to Vegas for a Super Bowl one day,
hey, next year
right?
is Arizona.
Is it?
Is Arizona?
Hey, we can stay at Bumble's
Just,
house.
just saying.
We can stay at Bumble's house and then go from there.
We'll see what happens. See who's in it.
Who cares?
Maybe Chicago will make it.
Oh, cut! Stop! That's like me saying the Giants are gonna make it. Like, come on.
Hey man, Justin Fields, dude.
No.
He's gonna make the leap.
Stop.
He's gonna make the leap.
Stop. Not happening. Didn't they hire a defensive coach?
Give me. You know what? You got to stick to what you're good at.
Didn't they hire a defensive coach? I don't know how many defensive coaches are going to like develop a quarterback.
All he has to do is hand off, dude, and throw every once in a while.
Hey, David Montgomery got like one more year with this kind of workload, man. He ain't gonna last.
Oh yeah, he's not gonna last. He's not gonna last. But ride him while you can.
What are we talking about? I don't know what
Chicago
you're talking about anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway. But yeah, man, that's pretty great. I mean, excited for this off season actually because things will be kind of funky in football in this off season. There's probably been a lot of movement with quarterbacks, so that'll be fun. NFL does a great job, man, owning the calendar. Is there a month that we don't talk about NFL football? Like, I don't think there is a month on the calendar anymore.
Not really. It's only 3 months basically till camp opens, right, in August.
Right.
So you know what's interesting about this year too is that we might not have baseball.
No, we will. It'll just be late. They'll figure it out. Hey, these guys everybody wants to get paid.
They can't afford to go through a lockout like they did back in 98, was it? 97?
You talk about was it not the Matt Williams year?
Yes, it was.
When Matt Williams was going to break Roger Maris's record?
Yeah, he was on pace for whatever.
Crush it. He was going to get Hack Wilson's RBI record, and he was going to get Roger Maris's single season home run record at the same time. He was on fire. But
yeah, the likelihood though.
That was a good lineup. But that was a good lineup, right? He was well protected.
It was a great lineup.
Yeah, Will Clark batting in the 3 spot really protected him, in those moments too.
Yeah, and Bonds.
U.S. Bonds. Was Bonds there already? He was. He was there.
He was. Already. He went there in 92, I think it was.
No,
that guy should be in the Hall of Fame, man.
94, huh? I think it's 94 he went.
No, because the last year he played with the Pirates was either 91 or 92.
92?
Yeah. Because they went to the National League Championship 3 straight years, I think. 2 straight years, 3 straight years.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost every time.
Well, But you know what? A San Francisco Giant fan, they can ride, the
last 3 world championships.
Jeez.
That's
I still think it's a very underrated run.
That blows my mind.
When it comes down to historically speaking for baseball. They don't talk a whole ton about, I don't think they talk enough about it, I should say, about the run that they had.
Yeah. That was amazing. Tim Lincecum, man.
Tim Lincecum.
For 3 years, one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball. But there's only
1993 is when Barry Bonds went to San Francisco.
Yeah, so 92 must have been the last year they made the NLCS with the
Yep.
Pirates. And
Yep. When
is
they
that
were
the one
back.
that went to Game 7 with Sid Bream?
No, Sid Bream was before that. Sid Bream was like the first. Sid Bream was like the first run the Braves had, and then the Francisco Cabrera one was the second time they beat the Pirates. Remember
Yeah,
Frankie
that was 90,
Cabrera?
that was
The little
92. No, it was
yeah,
Francisco Cabrera. Right?
Francisco
You're right.
Cabrera was the 92. But the
Was
Sid
that off
Bream one
Drabic?
was
Was that off Drabic at the end? Was it?
no. I think that was off like Stan Belinda or something. That's
Oh
last
yeah.
pass. Holy shit! No, I'm gonna fact check
Those,
this one. That just came off the top of the head. I'm gonna fact check this one now. You go talk
I
to
think
everybody.
that sounds right. I think he was on the team. That sounds
Francisco
right.
Cabrera. I mean, definitely the highlight of Francisco Cabrera's career.
What a time.
I mean, this was when TBS only played Braves games back then. Still, remember that?
Yeah.
It's Stan Belinda. Here
Wow,
comes
dude. That
Sid
was
Bream. Sid Bream rounding third, lumbering. Dave Justice cheering him on. It's amazing.
back in those days, everything was tape delayed in Hawaii. So I wasn't able to watch the game until when it would start, like 7 o'clock,
Yeah,
5
remember
o'clock.
they wouldn't show those games until like 7 o'clock at night, and it was already
Yeah.
paused. But we didn't
Yep.
have the internet, right? Nothing to know what was going on. Just don't watch Sports Center. Like just
Yep.
don't
No.
turn ESPN on.
Yeah, I was gonna watch it, and then my friend called me up and he was like, "Hey, the Pirates lost." I was like, "Oh, you
It's like, thanks,
son of a
man.
gun! You son of a gun, dude."
I mean, setting my VCR, close your eyes time when it came to like the sports. Remember the sports news broadcast at every station, Monday Night Football. Okay, it's close your eyes time. We're gonna show the final score of the Monday
Yep.
Night Football game because
Yep.
they didn't show it till after the news was over.
Yeah, that's why I had like Prodigy or CompuServe, because that was the only way to get baseball box scores the day of the game, or else you have to wait for the USA Today the next day.
Amazing! I loved watching.
You're
I love reading box scores, man, on a newspaper.
now you're dating us.
So, Royce, that was a good little recap of what's been going on in the crypto market, and glad to hear you getting out into civilization. I got a trip planned. I'm going to go to Seattle after you come here.
Oh, nice.
In March. So it'll be good. It'll be great seeing you. We're going to game plan a little bit more what we're going to do with this podcast. What do you think?
I think that's a good idea.
Royce,
I got
the man of few words.
I got all the new equipment now to make it happen.
Because what do we talk about? We talk about apparel. We talking, we're probably gonna. We made apparel for ourselves.
That's right.
I
should have been wearing my hat, dude. I don't know why I didn't.
That's okay. They can't see you. Maybe one day we'll do live, but I don't know, man. I don't think anybody needs to see any of this.
We could do it on video one day. We start posting to YouTube or not.
YouTube channel, huh? We're
gonna do that.
We're gonna put the dragon on there.
We'll only be like spend a bunch of money on the hair care products and grooming and stuff, dude, because I need a haircut. And on that note,
just shave it all off, man.
On that note,
well, everybody, thank you for listening. Hopefully, you came back after our long hiatus. We appreciate you listening, and go ahead and
love our
follow us
fans.
so you can get the notifications when we upload another episode.
All one of you out there.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys.